We here, we back at it again. Hold on, let me plug up the phone for the win. I'm gonna be out in the cold. All right, so this is crazy. A lot of controversy videos popping up, and this one is gonna hit, gonna sting with some people. Um, I'm gonna mix it all up. Um, Going with the conscious promoting. Shout out to the Harris family. Great, great, great podcast, great family channel, great, accountability, great, just all around the Harris family. Shout out to them. I actually ran across them while going to Red Lipstick Vibe channel. So Red Lipstick Vibe, she awesome channel. I met a lot of great people over there, you know, and moved around with a lot of them as well. I can't think of my guy name. He pretty cool. Dang, right on. I see his face, and I know he with the basement. I know Hank. Dang, but what's his name? I remember Hank in the basement. Dang, I can't think of my guy name. It'll pop up. You know, he always with the peace guys. Ah, man, this is killing me. I can't remember his name. And I was just looking over there. He do the truck talk every now and then. But shout out to him. What's going on, Tamika? Yeah, if y'all look into the link in the description, I mean, I'm gonna be going over some crazy stuff. So, starting off with the conscious promoting, shout out to the Harris family tribe and day channel. Great content. Married couple, kids. You know, they, if I'm not mistaken, I think they got about 5 kids. You know, same mom, same daddy. Type deal. And they've been rocking with each other since some youngins. You know, got married, stood on business, stood the test of time. So I like what they pushing out: family driven, family goals, family oriented. Dealing with the music, all that. Everything is running. What's going on, Renaissance Dad? What's going on with you? But it's like they channel is like all about family, and that's the good thing that I be pushed like dealing with the family. I told y'all my channel is mainly based on finance, family, self-aware, self-accountability. That's why I go into these emotional trips to try to talk about things, go into depression, get you to, get out of depression. I've got family members who, went through depression. I've had friends who went through states of depression, man, and it's rough. So, that's why I try to shine a little light on that to help people. Hey man, go seek some help. Go do better for yourself and everything to follow. And, you know, but more or less with the life insurance as well, finance, budgeting. I always talk about budgeting. I always talk about that. I always talk about the budget. What's this? Golf Adventurous Jamaica, what's going on with you? Try to catch y'all as y'all coming in. M Mills, what's going on? But, like I said, they do an excellent job. They're the second link in the description. You go check out their channel. Have some great content, great things that they talk about on the channel. And going into the third one, I think it's I want to teach you how to be rich. Great channel. I think his name is Ra. I seen him on Netflix. He had a Netflix special to where he was, helping some people deal with financial decisions, financial goals. Overall, great channel, you know, and him being in finance, teaching people how to budget their money, teaching people their goals in life. Wellness with Frugal Mama, how you doing? See you pulled up, Queen in the building. What's going on, country girl? I gotta start saying your whole name, because Queen, you changed it, but I know you as Queen. But yeah, like I said, and then last but not least, I'm mixing it all up. I did the promoting conscious. Shout out to the Harris family. I want to teach you to be rich. Rosh, that guy, his channel's good. Focus on money. A lot of topics I come up with get from his channel because has a lot of impact on people. Influencing people's lives and stuff. And the last but not least, this is the big thing that's been popping right now. My wife told me about it yesterday. You know, I should have posted that video that the guy he walks in on his wife watching this, and he just walks over, sits on the sofa because he's listening to it, start eating the popcorn. That's pretty much me right now, and that's the new hit. Who the f did I marry? And now the crazy part about this show is all the red flags that were there, and she still got married to this dude. So it's like a lot of times, the women say ain't no good men out here, ain't no this and ain't no that, but to the degree, a lot of women be with the ish, you know, and this is not no man and woman put together. Just listen, and I'm gonna go ahead and break it down because, like I told you, I don't like to do the gender topics because it get people all crazy up in them, panties in a bunch, drawers in a bunch, and all that. And you know, we both have accountability in which we're not, playing our part in. Bad relationships come about when people don't make rational decisions because of, their teaching. If I don't know how to do surgery and I go into a, a um a hospital and try to perform open heart surgery, I don't have the proper tools, I don't have the proper knowledge, I'm going to fail at it. And that's the way as far as finance, as far as relationships. People are failing in it because they don't have the proper tools, and there's no one size that fit all. There's trial and error with a lot of us that we have to learn certain things to grow our lives and make things better for ourselves. So, just sneaking a peek into talking about that with your budget and your finance, which we're gonna go into, this this series, like the lady, I ain't even got to the finish. I just heard probably what 3 or 4 episodes while I'm riding in the car with my wife. She started playing it because she was like, "Yeah, this is real interesting. Everybody's talking about this." Man, this lady, she making money. Like, and she put it on TikTok. Don't you know how many people are watching this? Like, my wife was watching. People are sharing it. Um, Dang, what Corey Love show? Shout out to Corey Love. Corey Love is live talking about this now. The Corey Love show. Shout out to him. And I was like, man, beat me to the punch. I was trying to get out here and throw this because this is my bag. I talk about stuff like this. I talk about family. I talk about finance. I talk about self improvement. I talk about life insurance galore. But going into the fact of the matter, a lot of times people just don't have the knowledge. So, excuse me. So they settle for just bare minimum, the stuff that they know. Somebody knows how to, prime example, going back into surgery. Everybody knows how to use a knife to cut something. So that's the first process in cutting. But what about cleaning a wound? See, now you're going in the first stage. You know what about cleaning a wound, um, getting the germs away from the wound, getting the germs away from the skin, the area you're gonna cut, um, cleaning your hands, using gloves. That's when you start getting the more or less with that, securing that, the sanitizing the side before you actually start doing the surgery and start doing the cutting and start, going with where to cut, how to cut, what angles to cut. You start getting deep into that. And that's more or less what you're doing, in relationships, knowing who to deal with, why to deal with them, what is the ultimate goal of dealing with this person, you know? And she was breaking down a lot of that from the first beginning, which I heard the first couple of episodes. My wife, like I said, driving in the car, listening, it got interesting. It's like a lot of this stuff is soap operas. Even with the channels that are on YouTube, a lot of these, channels be warring with each other. This is a soap opera. You know, a lot of guys are into it. You know, a lot of women they're into it's just another soap opera, form of soap opera. But needless to say, man, this lady showed like all kind of stuff, like red flags in her relationship with this guy, but she still proceeded to marry the guy. And my wife, she got farther than me. Like I said, I got to a point. I was like, man, this is crazy. I already know how this is gonna end up. And I told my wife, I don't even know what's going on, cool gamer. I was like, I don't even know if all this is true. I said because it's too many red flags for her to keep dealing with this. I'm like, this might be fake. And my wife was laughing, was like, yeah, you could be right. And, more or less, if you check out, the links in the description talking about it, but that's not the actual video. But if you go look it up on TikTok, I don't have TikTok, so that's why I didn't share the actual link. I barely deal with, YouTube and Facebook and Instagram, more or less having Snapchat. I have an X account. I don't even use that really. It's like all these different social media sites, man, you're gonna be on your phone forever in a day. You never going to sleep. You never getting any rest for your mind. So it's like some of them I just don't even make accounts to. So I won't even be on them like that. Yeah, a lot of times, man, people do ignore those signs, Queen. And the red flags, and it's crazy when I say that about relationship with me. I never really took a L in a relationship because and I guess you can define it as a difference in L's because when I seen the bad coming, I ran. No, I didn't go into like 10-year relationship, 5-year, 3-year relationships, and nothing worked. Like my relationships were short. Before I married my wife, I had a lot of short. I don't think I had. I think I had a relationship that last like probably what a year, year and a quarter, probably a year and a half. That probably been the longest. Because other than that, like I just wasn't sticking around for the bull crap. And that's what most people, put themselves into situations to say, well, maybe I'm gonna make it work. Maybe this person was lying for a reason. Maybe this person intentions for this. And totally wrong, off the wall, crazy. And a lot of people fall for it. And then in the end, the world famous why me comes about. The world famous why me. And I'm talking about like it's literally crazy how a lot of that stuff go. And even with dealing into the relationship of getting married, and I'm scaling over to the third um link in the description, talking about finance. You know, when is a good time to talk about finance and getting married? A lot of people, kind of don't really know. Like they don't know like what's the best way to talk about relationship. What's the best way? Talk to your family members. Do the research. Talk about money. A lot of people don't talk about money, and when they get into the relationship, they know this person is horrible with money. And when I say horrible, I literally mean horrible with money. People can't, garner relationships due to the fact that, they don't know how to hold money. Every time they get some money in their pocket, it's gone. Like literally spending, spend, spend, spend. Like it gets to a point to where, you know, you don't even have no say in almost anything because you always spending your money, always throwing your money away. And the person that you're married to or dealing with, if they don't have no bones about it, then what is going to be for you? What's going on, Lash's journey? Yeah, and so it poses a real big issue into relationships when you're, trying to. Lisa J, what's going on with you? It's a big problem when going into relationships and you're trying to, set the standard or set things up. Like you and this person don't connect. You and this person literally don't connect. Y'all have nothing in common. Y'all don't have anything that's gonna, you know, let you guys stay together because you just like this person, I guess, to a degree. You just like the way they look, and it poses a real big issue long term. You have no intention. Like, what are your biggest intentions on, sticking in a relationship? What are your goals? Who taught you to get into a relationship and the goals that you need to make the relationship work? Like, who is your mentor? Who's teaching you these things to make you better off in life and make you better, as a person? Like, who's teaching you all this stuff to run this stuff down? Like, that's the crazy part. Like, that's why I keep saying going back into getting the knowledge. A lot of times we don't get the knowledge about a lot of things. And that's what hinder us in relationships. That's what hinder us in our finance. On average, just about everybody can afford a house, but to a degree, we don't have the money to buy a house because we don't know how to budget our money right. We don't know how to, put ourselves in position to win by getting a good job and things like that. You know, um, Even with money, having a necessary understanding of how money works. You know how many people don't know how money works, how it doesn't benefit them, which they don't know the first step, you know. And you might have one person that's great with finance, the other person is horrible with finance. And Wanda, I'm sorry, you jumped in here too. I seen your video earlier, Wanda. I'm gonna go back and finish the rest of it. I seen the one from this morning though, and I'm gonna go back and finish the second one that you have. What's going on, Lashes? And needless to say, when it comes to finance, like, what are we actually doing? Like, who's really teaching us this? We don't talk to our parents about it. We're doing everything on the fly, And in that video, that guy talked about having to talk before you get married or something to kind of have an understanding, like, where do we stand in this marriage? Where do we stand in a situation of us, having money? That's the point where a lot of people, fail to realize, like, hey, I got some things going on in my life. I need to learn how to do this. What's going on, Tap? But this is a lot of times people fail to understand on that. Like, what are the things I need to do? What are the things I need to, get to a point of succeeding, in this relationship when this person doesn't know about money? How can I help them? Because a lot of times you both don't know to a degree, small little things that can get you by. But as life and time goes, you get more knowledgeable about things. Hey, the process on buying a car. I had to explain some things to my son when he buying a house. I was like, you don't buy a house just like you buy a car. There's certain things you need, but prime example, I know a guy, he went in, applied to get a car. All they did was check his credit, checked and see if he have a job, ran it down. If he had a bank, the bank approved him, or they can get approved through the dealership. You good. All about it is you making the payments. You got good credit, you can get it easy. A house, that's a little more difficult. They really gotta check your credit history, run down all these different things that you're doing with your credit because you're not, borrowing 80,000 or less from the bank. All these cars now, they're a lot more expensive. You're not borrowing like 80,000 from the bank. You're not borrowing 20,000 or 40,000 from the bank. You're borrowing 100 plus, almost 300 to $500,000. We need to know where you're getting your money from. It's nothing simple as just saying that, hey, you got a job? Yeah, I got a job. Okay, cool. You're approved. Nope. Takes more than that. Takes way more than that. You know, just as simple as, yeah, I got a job. Yeah, we need to see some more credentials than I got a job. You know, when it comes down to it, they need a little bit more than that. When a person says, yeah, I can afford $2,000, note a month on a house, because that's what the lady was going through in that issue with this guy in the first story that I'm talking about. Who the f did I marry? You know, she was going through. That's this the part where I looked at while I was listening to that she went through so much with this guy only because she didn't know the process. He was showing her paperwork, which paperwork can be doc. You know, you can doctor up some paperwork. I've seen so many fraud cases online and so many ways how fraudsters are getting over. So I see so much of that. I pretty much like, man, this is crazy. Like, people are doing this. Yeah, man. People are going out here, go get some fake W-2s and try to go into the bank and buy a house. The bank does deep, because you gotta understand, they're loaning you the money. And it's a whole nother thing to that I don't want to get into, but they're loaning you literally the money to buy a house, which they're giving you this high interest rate. The bank thing is they want to, at least to a minimum, you stay in your property for 5 years. Normally, staying in the property for 5 years, you know, you have, growth on your property. And a lot of times that's when the bank get their return, because they're gonna resell that loan out to somebody else, or they're gonna sell the debt off to somebody. So either way it goes, they're good. But to the point of them getting some of that interest off of you, and all who knows about the, what is it called, the amortization schedule. When you get a mortgage, they give you a amortization schedule, and it's pretty much to the point where you have to um I'm having a brain freeze, but to the point where this is the schedule in which you have to make your payments. And when you're making your payments, it shows you the interest rate, it shows you everything that you're paying, it shows the breakdown of all that. And hey, that's what you're dealing with. That's what you're paying, that's what you're working with, going from there. Yep, I'm driving too, frugal mama, so just giving out a little information. See, I'm at a red light. Now, when it comes to that schedule, you start looking at it, and once you do the breakdown, you like, man, if I keep to this schedule and I have a $300,000 house, if I pay this for 30 years, I'm gonna just about be out of another 300, maybe even close to $400,000 in interest. So it will be in your best interest to pay your house off early. It will be in your best interest to find ways to spend extra money on your mortgage, but this the catch. Put it on the principal. Do not just go down there, get them a payment, because they're gonna take that payment and they're gonna split it just like they do the mortgage every month. They're gonna put so much towards the interest and a little bit towards that principal. And see, buying a house is a process in which a lot of people going in through this process one time, a lot of people dread it because there's a lot of paperwork. But keep the process going. Like, I'm talking about literally crazy. It's a lot of work, you know. But needless to say, ownership, in my opinion, just like buying life insurance, are the two wealth builders, for generations. Someone buys a house, pays it off, 30 years, 40 years later, that house, you bought it for 100,000. Nowadays, like at this moment in time, in 2000 and I want to say 18, not go that far back, but 2018, they had a house I was looking at. They wanted 100,000 for that house. Cool. Fast forward to 2023, I was looking at that same house, you know, 5 year difference. The house is worth 285,000. Where did the 185 come from? You know, when things are inflated in the market, everything gets saturated to the point where the houses are like everything starts going up, every starts gaining in value. And that's the thing. That's the process. So learning the process on buying a house is great. They have videos on YouTube. They have a lot of channels that talk about this, but you got to know the process so you won't get scammed. This goes for the women and the men in this. What's going on, Omega? This goes for the women and the men on this. Because listening to that story from that woman, and she was saying how the guy was giving her all the documentation, all this stuff, the process on buying a house, what about 45 days, and down to the part of being on the closing. The woman just knew something wasn't right. She ended up contacting the realtor, found out the house was already sold. And that's the thing too. If you know the tricks and the trades to get around, to get over on people, prime example, my friend, he's a realtor. He actually told me houses that are on Zillow and what is the other big next door, all the big brand ones, they literally take those houses and keep them on there 6 months after being sold. So when people are interested in it, they can just refer them to houses that look like them, or just a house that in that area that has the same aesthetics, as far as the bedrooms, basement, whatever. So knowing the process, it kind of helps you not to get got by people. Prime example too, buying a home or even renting a home. There are a lot of people who are scamming on the rent side. One of my friends, he got scammed like that. He had a guy get him, open the lockbox, open the door, pay for the deposit, everything. Emailed him a lease agreement. He signed the lease, sent it back to the email, and told the guy, this is an old guy. This is crazy. He told him to send the money in gift cards, and because he don't have bank something, like this is an old guy. He got fooled. Younger people, they set up easy. They send stuff through PayPal, and the PayPal sends it to a bank or something. Once the payment been processed, they snatch the money out, and easily. There's Cash App, where a lot of people want to make Cash App because that's the new wave of payment. Doing a Cash App. What's going on, Bunny Rose? And people are getting scammed that way. Zillow, you can have somebody's bank account set up, snatch the money out their account. It's a lot of scamming. So this guy was professional with, and I'm talking about the story who the F did I marry? It's a big thing on TikTok. Is a woman talks about her relationship she was in with a man in Atlanta. And I'm like, man, why always gotta be Atlanta? Like y'all just be representing the city wrong, man. Like, come on. In the words of R. Kelly, y'all out here killing me with this. You're killing me. But, you know, this guy was real finance with the woman. And that's the thing. She seen the red flags, then adhered to the red flags, and kept proceeding with the relationship. So it's like if I'm constantly burning your finger or even just pinching you, if I'm constantly pinching you on your arm and you're telling me like that's not right, you're not supposed to do that. I'm saying sorry, my bad, and I keep pinching you. It's to a degree at some point physically you're getting harmed. You're gonna say if you touch me again, there's gonna be consequences. I'm gonna do something to you. Why mentally people won't take that step with life? Like mentally, this lady knew that this guy was getting over on her. Mentally, he was like, just doing things to her, telling her lie after lie, but she still proceeded with the relationship. And I told my wife, I was like, this is the issue with most men and women, because men go through this too. Men have women who say, "Man, I love you," and the woman says, "I love you." And as soon as you drop her off at home, she call up her other boyfriend and be like, "Yeah, he gone now. He just gave us $1,000. Let's go do something." And you're like, man, once you find that out, you're like, ah, man. Like it's crazy. I've seen so many men put detectives on women because they were that good. They covered their tracks. They was Kevin Gates. They had two phones. you know, and it got to a point where he's like, man, I like her. I really want to take the next step. Let me get a private investigator. Find out this lady double life, kid somewhere that nobody knows, and it's just like crazy. Like these are the stories that don't really get out to the public, and the ones that do get out to the public, ah man, they the horrible stories because the biggest thing where we have, like I said, I'm tipping into this gender dump. I don't want to do it, but it's a point to talk about this finance and stuff. So you literally have men who get scammed by women. They won't say nothing because you know why? Other men will look at them as suckers. Other men will look at them as, oh man, you gotta take advantage of. You're stupid. You're this. You're that. So a lot of times, men tend not to say anything, and that's even with the grape, because there are men in situations that do get raped and they anything because they don't want to, like I say, typically look like the sucker. But when a woman she gets scammed and she put herself out there, you know, it's to a point where the men got to be held accountable for that. Prime example, they do Jackson and his crazy videos, and there was a video of a woman stealing condoms, and a guy was yelling at her, cussing her out, and I think he was Arabic. And the guys in the chat was getting on her. Oh man, he shouldn't talk to her like that. Oh man, this and that. Like, wouldn't be doing that. But it's like she's stealing. Needless to say, I don't like the way he talking to her, but she's stealing. And if the shoe was on the other foot, she stole from me, I would probably cuss her out the same way because she's stealing. Now, let's let's flip that. And a dude get caught. And he's in there stealing condoms. He get cussed out by a woman. Guys will laugh, point, women will laugh, point, and in the end, nobody's feeling sorry for that guy. But like I said, it goes back into like the money aspect. A lot of times it's like people are not knowing the basics when it comes to budgeting. People are not knowing the basics necessities into doing this. Like the whole researching buying a house. When I went into the point of buying a house, I looked at so many things. I actually got on my realtor about some things that they didn't even tell me because I went and researched and also talked to other realtors and brokers that gave me some information. I had a broker that I was dealing with. I went to another broker, talked to them, and they didn't tell me some of the things. So I was considering moving, going to another broker, and I told the broker I was dealing with, if you don't make this right and keep me in the loop about things, I'm not buying a house from you. I don't care if we're almost to closing. I will shut this thing down and go with somebody else. Cynical one was going on. And that posed a big issue because they were going to be losing money. And, that's the thing. Alonzo talks about this a lot. And a lot of people fail to realize or understand sometimes. Like when you're in the process of being a broker or an agent that sells houses, if you don't technically, if you don't sell the house, you don't make money. Alonzo says it best. I eat what I kill when it comes to finance. If he don't close the deal, then he don't eat. And that's the thing with a lot of people going through this process. You know, they don't close the deal, then they don't eat. When it comes to finance, you got to be aware because there are people out here closing the deal on you and eating on you in the process, and you have no idea until it's too late. I knew a guy, I was talking to him. he dealt with an agent. An agent got him this great broker. Oh man, he was so good. But when it came to the closing, the guy hit him so hard with an interest rate because they get paid on every point they get on that interest rate. Every point one, point two, they get so much money on that interest rate that they get. And a lot of times people are just not knowing. You know, if I don't know that, I'm gonna take the interest rate because they told me this is the best I can get. People don't know about buying your points down on your interest rate. I didn't know that. I learned that. So I'm like, you mean to tell me that if you give me a high interest rate and I can buy down my points, like you mean to tell me that this 7% now I don't have to pay 7%? I can actually pay less than 7% because they're not giving that option for people. Like I said, that's something you got to research for yourself. Even after you bought the house, you can still buy down your interest rate. I didn't know that. I'm like, man, but this is the point. A lot of people don't have money. So if you don't have the money, how can you actually know this knowledge? You know. But like I said, needless to say that the story was crazy. It was messy, you know. And shout out to Countries promoting the Harris family. Like just talks about money with your significant other, talks about family before you get married is a big key. It's a component in which you don't have surprises later, you know. And needless to say, it's not for everybody, but that was one of the reasons I married my wife. She had kids. I knew what type of mother she would be. I actually met women that were horrible mothers. Like the way that they talk to their kid, like you're supposed to be in a nurturing to your child and calling them, talking to them like a grown man, especially the boys. The girls, they talk to them rough, but just talking to the boys, calling them, punks and all this and slapping them, because those are the emotions in which a woman thinks a man talks and a man deals with boys like that. Like my sons, I've grabbed them by the neck, pulled them to me and talked to them. You know, I haven't seen my wife do any of that. Like, slapping them, hitting them, and she would get angry and tell them to come here and talk to him. If it needs to be a whooping, then that should be it. But you know, I've never seen my wife punch one of my boys in the chest or my daughter and was like, "You're gonna take these licks." But it comes to a point of knowing who you're dealing with, knowing the intent of the person, actually understanding, you know, this is who I'm married to. This is who I'm dealing with. You know, those points in which a person have that understanding, like, hey, this is who I'm with forever, or this is the person I'm going to be with for the rest of my life. Whether they're intent with having kids, whether they're, what is going to be the issue, with finance, and we have to get another car, or we have to buy another house, or like, are they good with money? Or are they not? Like, what are the intent of things that people, are dealing with? Needless to say, I'm gonna jump off of here. I gotta go make my rounds. But other than that, like I said, check out those 3 channels in the description. Get a little understanding of what I'm talking about, and take the necessary steps, and just having a conversation. Some people have been married for all these years and still never have the conversation about finance because it's too rough. It's literally too rough to have. It's literally too rough. Don't even want to talk about it. Like arguing all the time, and it's the thing that, hey, it has to be said. It has to be talked. It's something that needs to be done. So, needless to say, until next time, you know what I always say when I leave here? We here and we gone. Peace.